Hello, everybody. This is Ryan from I Try Running Programs. And today I want to talk about qualifying for the Boston Marathon, some of the races you may pick, why I'm picking CIM, the California International Marathon in 2021. And on my channel, you'll find that I do try to discuss different articles. One of my goals is also to discuss peer-reviewed articles. So as my channel grows, if you're interested in knowing more about the science behind running, you might find my channel of interest. Now, this is a great article put out by Race Raves that gives you a variety of options for best bets to qualify for the Boston Marathon. And one of the things that I think they also do, which is very helpful, is they give you kind of what time you need and why you need the time whatsoever. Now, I think for many amateur runners, there's probably kind of like, well, why would you even do this? And for somebody like me, it's just out of the sake of a challenge, right? I enjoy running more 5K half marathons, if I'm being really honest with you. But qualifying for Boston once before I hit 34 would be a dream of mine. So, I don't want to date myself and give you how many attempts I have to pull this off, but I have limited attempts left. I will leave it at that. So I would have to run a 3-hour marathon for my age group. In fact, you'll see in one of my videos, I was still thinking back to previous years where it was 3:05 to qualify. So I have a little bit of my work cut out for me. I honestly don't think I can run a 3-hour marathon this year if I'm being just outright with it. But I guess we'll see how training goes, as I do have a little bit of weight to lose, probably in the 8 to 10 pound range. So that will help me get my top end speed up a little bit. And then also as I'm training, because I've done basically no quality sessions all year, I've just been base building since January. That might also help with my top end speed. So we'll see. I don't know if I can pull it off, but you can see the list of times here. And depending on your age and your gender, you can better select what time you need to run should you be interested in qualifying for the Boston Marathon. Now, this particular site is a treasure trove here of various races. Admittedly, this is an article that's a little old, so some of these events might not still be happening, but I highly recommend you can use the function here to pick between winter, spring, summer, and fall to pick a marathon, A, near you, and B, in your time frame for your training that can essentially be used to kind of give you the best bet, okay? Now in California, CIM isn't the best bet. Some of the Revel races that are basically just straight downhill races would be more prudent if I was just going for the easiest race. However, I've run CIM a couple of times at this point. It's kind of a personal mission of mine to do this at CIM, if I'm being really honest. That's half the motivation is I've run 2 poor marathons at CIM and I'm kind of tired of spending money and failing. So I'm just going to continue to run CIM endlessly until I qualify for Boston, I suppose. Probably not the healthiest mindset, but that's just the way that I am. But in short, you can see here, they do a great job of giving you some various links to said marathons and then detailing some of the information about why you would want to run said marathon. So for CIM specifically, one of the reasons I like it is, yes, I'm from California, so it's not too far from home. But the second piece of it is that it's a gently rolling course, as they notate, that also has a net downhill. So it is overall a downhill course, though when you run it, and I think anybody who's run CIM, it can be pretty deceptively difficult because you're going up and down for a lot of the course. There's very few flat sections. However, the finish is relatively downhill and flat. And so that's a beautiful thing about the marathon is that as you get near the end, when your legs are tired, you should theoretically have less difficulty comparative to other options you could select. Okay. Now, the other cool thing about CIM is it has a really, really fun atmosphere behind it. In many cases, it ends up being kind of the country's championships for the marathon. So it can be a great place to come and see some really good runners. And usually the people running in the top, 1,000 places or so run really, really great times. So the quality of field is there without it being too much like a major marathon where there's 20 or 30,000 people running. You might get more like 7 to 10,000 people at CIM. So it's still a big event with a lot of fun behind it, but it's not too overbearing. If you're like me, you don't want to necessarily try to be weaving through tons and tons of people. I have found that if you put yourself within a time window bracket, like your stall basically, that the folks running that are pretty respectful of their time and will run around that time should they blow up. they might not. But in most cases, they will run that time. And you can kind of work your way to the edge of the course and not have any issues with overcrowding. So that's why I really love CIM, just because of that variety of quality of runners, but also just the ability that the course is wide enough, it's big enough that you don't feel like you're right on top of somebody else the entire marathon. Now, as I've alluded to before, I've run CIM quite a few times, and you can see it is a point-to-point race. It is not an out and back. It doesn't circle back to where it starts. It goes all the way out from basically Folsom Dam into the heart of Sacramento downtown. So it's a really fun race. There's not a ton of turns too, which is one of the things I really, really love about the course. There's a lot of just kind of straightish sections or long sections without a major turn. You can see based on the elevation profile using Strava here, there's subtle uphill and downhill, and there are some sections that are relatively flat. Now, I ran this back in 2018. You can see I started off running around in the 8-minute paces. I was aiming for probably somewhere around a 3:30 to 3:45 marathon that day. Completely blew up in the middle section of the run. And that is what happened in 2019 as well. Unfortunately, couldn't run it in 2020 due to the kind of worldwide health situation. But this year in 2021, I've done so much more base building and so much more longer runs. I'm not afraid of the blow up. Now I'm just worried about top end speed. So that's something that I'm going to be working on using the Hal Higdon program. And I have a video on that, and I will be detailing my training every week using Strava. So hopefully that is helpful. So over time, hopefully CIM will be a course that I think I can do pretty well at. You can see on the profile from the elevation, it really is a net downhill race. Once again, as I noted before, it is very deceptive though. Sections that you are actually running downhill, because you're tired, it feels like you're running uphill. And those uphill sections seem much larger than the downhill sections. Yet this is something from a mental training perspective this year I'm really focused on. The profile is right there in terms of the profile of the course. You know what the elevation is. You know you're going downhill the vast majority of it. Yes, there are some uphill sections, but they're much, much smaller than the overall downhill that you get. So those are the primary reasons I'm running CIM. If you're interested in watching me train for it, essentially I'll be doing weekly training updates of how my Hal Higdon Advanced 1 training program is helping me. As I alluded to before, I really don't think this is a year that I will qualify for the Boston Marathon. However, I do think this would be a great year to actually put down a solid training block and see where I'm at right now and what I need to fix. So once again, if you're interested in following along, please subscribe to my channel, continue to watch my videos, and provide any feedback that you can. I'd love to have it. And always add me on Strava. I'm looking for more people to run with on Strava. So take care, everybody.